All right. Dropping so many. Oh no, we're not dropping any frames. So I was going to give you guys a preview, although he's always being as finicky as ever. Come on. My Extra Life buddy, who will randomly come and hang out with me. There we go. Is Percival. Hey Percival, take a look over here to the camera. There you go. Kind of. So that's our cat. He was whining at me because I had gotten up, and so I thought he should come and join us for the second section of this. As you can see, we're no longer playing Minecraft, for the moment at least. We're going to switch, so here, let me switch to just me. There you go. Now you can get a better shot of Percival there. Yeah, so let's see what we got here. Our next game, I think, is gonna have to be let's go with a new game that probably a lot of people haven't played yet, or if you have, you're just starting out. Some Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. So I'm going to get that started. It's going to take me a minute because I'm going to have to change the graphics settings after it starts up. So you may hear some sounds from the game, but basically we're going to I have to make sure that the settings for the game are down enough so that I won't be dropping a bunch of frames while we play. So, and I'll also be turning off the music to prevent my entire stream from being muted. So loading options, audio options, music volume to nothing, probably everything else to about 50%. We'll see how that goes. Okay. And then video options, we need to set that to probably just to be on the safe side low, and yeah. Okay, that's fine. Apply that. Okay, let's add that to the game mode stream. So I keep accidentally clicking that. So add. Here we go. Whoop, and here we go. All right, cool. So I think we are ready to go. Accept that. Certain video options will not take place to restart the game. Okay, so I guess I got to restart it now. So it'll be just a second. I just got to restart it now. So I will. Alright, Civilization Beyond Earth, just released yesterday. I got to play it a little bit and see what was going on. It's very Civilization-like, so as long as you like Civilization, you will like this game. Now, the question will be, will it have the staying power, and will it have fixes for multiplayer? Hopefully, maybe not today, but probably, hopefully tomorrow, we'll be playing with at least one other person in multiplayer Beyond Earth. But I figured we might as well check it out now, and we can say goodbye to our cat, Percival. Alright, so Play Now actually gives you a random sponsor, even though they, you know, were very big about wanting you to carefully choose all your startup stuff. Play now still makes you go random. So we're going to go to setup game. Difficulty, the normal difficulty is Mercury. Sputnik is the easy one, and which is kind of easy. So there's not a whole lot below normal, but there's lots and lots of harder difficulties. So we're going to start with normal, just to kind of see how it goes. Standard game pace, map size small. It seems to be the default, so I'm going to go with that. And hit, even though like I think there is a standard. So I don't know why small is the default map size, but we're going to go with that. And if there's anyone in, let me bring my chat window back up so I can see it. If anyone's in the chat and this game skips too much or it's hard to tell what's going on, let me know so that I can adjust the graphic settings if I need to. All right, so we must designate a sponsor. If you have not followed this game like I have the last 6 months, instead of having established leaders like they have for the past versions of Civilization, you kind of craft your own leader based upon the various variables that you can use. So the biggest one, the one that gives you the biggest core difference to your team versus other people's teams, is your sponsor. So I think there can only be one of each sponsor per game. So this kind of is your leader in that particular sense, is that there are 8 different sponsors, and I guess if you can do more than an 8-player game, I guess you would have to be able to do multiples, but or you can pick random. So you got ARC, covert operations are 25% faster and cause 25% more intrigue. You get the Pan-Asian Cooperative, which gives you 10% production towards wonders and a 25% bonus to worker speed, which that's pretty good. The Franco-Iberia, you gain a free technology for every 10 virtues you develop, which virtues is kind of like the cultural tree in previous civilizations. Orbital units, which is a new type of unit for this game, they stay in orbit for 20% longer, and the first one launched grants us a free technology immediately, so that's pretty good. Australia is the big trader of the group. They get +2 trade routes available for the capital. So each of your capital and outposts that you create, you can have so many trade routes coming from those places, and Australia gets a couple extra for doing that. The Cavathan Protectorate, cities and outposts acquire new tiles twice as fast. So that's kind of the smaller but bigger city, or less cities but bigger cities type strategy. You might want to consider the Cavathan Protectorate. The Brasilia units have +10% strength in melee combat, so there's your military. And then the African Union, +10% food in growing cities when you're healthy. And health is kind of a new mechanic that kind of replaces the unhappiness that happens in previous civilizations. So health is kind of separate from happiness now in this one. So I'm a big builder, so I think I'm going to go with the Pan-Asian Cooperative because I like being able to build things, and I like there's lots of different kinds of materials, especially in the beginning, that you can start obtaining early, even if you can't necessarily use them. And so having the +25% worker speed will give us an advantage, especially if we happen to find a lot of those resources early. So Pan-Asian Cooperative. Now we get to choose the kind of colonists we want to obtain. So this is just kind of the focus of the people that we want to bring, and they kind of give us a specific bonus. So scientists, you get +2 science in every city you make. Refugees, you get +2 food in every city. Aristocrats, you get +3 energy and +1 health in every city. Engineers, you get +2 production, and artists, you get +2 culture and +1 health in every city. So energy is kind of the currency, so it's gold, essentially, and that's what you use to trade with people. Food, obviously, is for growth. Science for science. Health is to keep your citizens healthy. and then culture is used to get those perks later on. So for me, I could double up on production. So I've got production bonus for wonders, and this will give me production bonus for cities, which would give us a good early start. So I could double up on that. I could help with health and energy. So we can start getting energy early, and we can help keep our health up. So that's another one. Culture, that's not a big enough bonus, really, unless you're really going into culture. The health does help, though. So I think I'm going to go with the aristocrats. So it's going to give us +3 energy and +1 health in every city that we build. So next, choose our spacecraft. So spacecraft gives us an early starting bonus. So Continental Surveyor allows us to reveal all the coasts on the map, so it kind of gives us an idea of how close we are to water, how many potential other civilization or other colonists there might be on our planet, on the continent that we're on, and also can give us an idea of how much water we're going to have to traverse to be able to expand our empire later. Retrograde thrusters gives us a wider area for choosing where we land our first city. So instead of having like the settler, you actually start out by landing in a spot. So you're randomly given a spot on the map, just like you are in regular civilization. But then you have that spot and one spot around them to choose where your city is going to be, and then it will be set there automatically. If you take retrograde thrusters, you get an extra ring, so 2 away from the center of your starting area, to choose where you're going to land. And so it gives you a little bit more choice on trying to pick the best spot for your first city, because your first city you can't change after the fact. Tectonic scanner means that you don't need to work on any technologies to see petroleum, geothermal, and titanium resources. So that's always good. Get you those early. The fusion reactor, you begin with 100 energy. And at standard speed. So because we're picking standard speed, that's how much energy we're going to get. You'd probably get more if it was a shorter game. You'd probably get less if it was a longer game. Lifeform sensor allows us to reveal all the alien nests on the map. Aliens kind of are a more complex version of barbarian, and so you can actually befriend them depending on the type of player that you want to be, or you can destroy them just like normal to get experience and resources. So since we started and we kind of wanted to focus on being able to get materials early that are, scarce on the map, that aren't necessarily easy to come by, I think we're going to want to do Tectonic Scanner, just to kind of match with the type of strategy that we started with. So we're going to go ahead with that. And then we have to choose what we want to focus our cargo on. So if we focus on hydroponics, we get an extra population in our first city, so that basically doubles our production right from the get-go. Laboratory allows us to begin with the pioneering technology. Pioneering technology, its big advantage is it's the technology needed to make the colonist unit, which is what you use to build more cities. Raw materials, you begin with a clinic building in your first city, which immediately increases the health of your city. So you can do more with do more faster with your cities without having to worry about the health of your cities in the beginning. Weapon arsenal, you begin with a soldier unit, so that's a good both defensive and offensive weapon, especially if you don't plan on being peaceful with the indigenous species. And then machinery, you begin with a worker unit. Since again, our bonuses kind of focus around the worker and what it's going to be doing. Excuse me, let me take a drink real quick. All right, So since we're really focusing on gathering resources before anybody else, I think it really makes sense for us to begin with a worker unit. Alright, so now we have our choice of planets to head towards. So essentially, the names are completely, well, random-ish. They're actually the last names of people who actually worked on the game. But they'll cycle through. But basically, you choose a Terran world, so that's going to be the large landmasses continents-based map. You have the Protean world, which is the very large Pangea-type landmass, where it's just basically one giant continent. You have the Atlantean world, which is a bunch of small islands. So just like, I forget what they called that one. And then you can rescan for planets, which basically will still give you these 3 types of planets, but it'll give you different names. So if you don't want McDonough, so like we can rescan, now we have 3 different names, but there's 3 different types of planets. So now we have Montgomery 645E or Mollers 644D. So it really just changes the names. So I think we're going to go with the Terran world, the basic continent style world. Because that just makes sense to start a brand new game with. And so let's go ahead and start. Alright, we are starting some Beyond Earth. Loading everything. Alright, we are ready to go. So, we have this...
Select a suitable location for our people to make planetfall. This will be the site of our first great city. Select a plot within the red border to land.
Yeah, so, as you can see, we have a specific area that is centered around one spot, and we can do any area, one around it. If you had retrograde thrusters, we'd be able to have one more area around that. So, where do we want to go? So there's a lot of good choices here. And so you can see we have fiber here, which is a material that we can cultivate. We have some chitin, which are kind of domesticatable animals, I believe. Miasma we want to stay away from, so there's a few miasma spots here that we want to be careful of. Ooh, floatstone. So we probably want to be close to the floatstone, because we'll want to get that as soon as possible. So I think this spot right here, well, or do we want to be on the river? Oh, choices, choices. Yeah, I think the center is really the best spot. Yeah, let's just go with that. Bloop. So we have made planetfall. So Tiegong has been founded, but we can edit that. So let's name our city Extra Life 1. So that is going to be our capital city, Extra Life 1. So everyone's given a pack an explorer. But we're also given our worker here. So, so the explorer, its job is to explore the terrain, but it also has a secondary job now, where if it finds any ruins of any kinds, it's capable of extracting things from them, as long as they don't get attacked by anything while they're doing it. So they're increasingly important as time goes on. So they have a recommendation in the spot over here where the fiber is to create a plantation there, and that will give us the extra food probably for making a farm there. So explorer, I want to actually, it's unfortunate that he's way over here, I kind of want to make sure that there's no nasties around this floatstone. We also found that there is some ferraxite, which is also another very valuable material. You can see all the valuable materials up here that are going to be important as time goes on. So floatstone's important, ferraxite's important. We've already got those here. We also got some petroleum. Again, no one can see, unless you pick that particular perk, you can't see things like titanium, petroleum without the requisite technologies, but we can, which means we can exploit them earlier, even if we can't necessarily use them right away. So we have to choose our production. So there's various things that we can do. We can create a clinic, which again, it adds 1 science and 1 health. We can create an old earth relic. An old earth relic is how we increase culture early on. And then we have access to worker, explorer, and soldier. So the basic units. So we probably want a soldier right away because it's very hostile terrain. It's not like your old civilization where you could go the first 20 turns without any kind of defenses. Yeah, if you happen to be next to some aggressive aliens, you might not make it very far. So we're going to want a soldier. And now we have the tech web.
The tech web provides a bird's eye view of the technologies that may be discovered and how they are connected. Technologies come in 2 types, branches and leaves. Branches represent broader technological ideas and cost less research. Leaves are more specific and are more expensive.
Thank you. Alright, so you can see we don't have much research power right now. We only get a +3. So everything is going to take a little while, but obviously that will go, much faster as time goes on. So we kind of need to determine which direction we need to go. Well, we already know we have petroleum nearby. We also know we have titanium nearby, and we don't have any geothermal. So we don't necessarily need to do geophysics because we don't have anything that will take advantage of it. But we could start with something like engineering, which allows us to build the thorium reactor and does a lot of and a repair facility, which allows us to build the combat rover, which is I would call it the closest thing to it to be horse unit, cavalry of some type. Because it's designed to move fast. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it can chase things down if it needs to, because it can usually outrun most things. But yeah, it reveals titanium, allows us to build a repair facility, which allows us an increased production rate for land units. It doesn't actually repair anything. The combat rover, which has 3 moves instead of 2. And combat strength of 12, which I believe yeah, it's still actually more powerful than the soldier. And a thorium reactor gives us +3 energy, and you get 2 trader specialist slots as for creating the reactor. And that's also recommended by our military advisor, which is also a nice thing, is that you can easily see where you want to go. Genetics gets us to Pharma Lab, helps us with health. Health is kind of important early on, so that's also a choice. Physics, Launch Compact Observatory Ranger. So physics is really about the satellites. We didn't happen to land near any satellites, so that's not necessarily super necessary, but we'll eventually need to do it. Chemistry, Recycler is +1 production from internal city or station trade routes. So that's nice. Laboratory, +2 science, and a petroleum well, which allows us to... Ooh, maintenance is a health. Ouch. But it does actually add the petroleum to our list, where we don't actually have... I don't know if titanium just doesn't actually... Oh, it's probably a quarry, and that's how we get it, so we don't... But we probably want to focus on health before chemistry then. So let's do the genetics tree. And then we'll eventually want to do pioneering so that we can actually build more units. But I don't think that's a priority for us at the moment because we have plenty of resources at our disposal. And it really puts a hit on health when you build new cities. So let's return to map. And we've done everything. Oh, and then we have the various victory conditions.
I have something that needs your attention.
So there's various victory conditions that you can do. You have the basic ones, which are actually on the bottom. Domination, you know. So conquer the capital city of every other faction on the planet. Emancipation, which is create a wonder that allows you to go back to Earth to spread your light to them. There's a quest where you build a beacon that contacts another alien race. You have Transcendence, which allows you to communicate with the planet. And then you have the Promised Land to reestablish contact with Earth. Yeah, making contact with the original Earth. So those are the 5 different victory conditions that we could do. So let's do next turn. Alright. So another interesting thing about this versus other civilizations is all players don't appear on the map at the same time. So currently I am the only human on this planet. The other human colonists have not arrived yet. So we kind of get our first chance to kind of explore this world. Ooh, a second thing of floatstone. Oh, and we found some geos.
I may be able to assist you.
Oh, we have an artifact available. So those things I was talking about that workers really want to go check out, or not workers, explorers want to check out, they're right there. Thank you. So my little work guy heads up here and then starts building a plantation. And it'll add 1 production to that tile, which is pretty good. So yep, so there's the suggestion. It wants to go construct an expedition here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's see. Construct an expedition. It'll take 4 turns. Hopefully we don't find any hostiles. I'm actually surprised. The first game, when I tried it out yesterday, I was surrounded by hostile aliens. But so far we haven't really seen any. So we've grown. Extra Life 1 has grown in size. Now we have the 2 people, and our health has gone down slightly. So we're still doing the expedition and still building stuff. And here is our first opponent. Has arrived, the Slavic city of the Slavic Federation. General Vadim. So greetings. Let us share information and together move forward.
В простых словах, пожалуйста.
So he's our first guy. He's kind of over there. Thank you.
You have a new quest available.
Oh, and we have quests.
Your actions will trigger different quests that can unlock bonuses for your people. Open the quest log to see what's available to you, and check back often.
So yeah, so another unique thing is these quests. So our first quest here is to found an outpost. For our colony to prosper, we should consider expanding. We should focus our efforts on researching how to create new outposts for the colony. So our first quest is to research what we need to actually create another city, essentially. And so they're pretty close to us, I think. I don't know, it just seems that way. It's... yeah, they're not too close to us, so they're not too much of a problem. Alright, let's move on. Alright, our worker has finished building the plantation there. Now it has another suggestion of constructing generators. So we'll go ahead and do that.
This may be helpful.
So now it's talking about keeping citizens healthy. So more citizens we have, or the more cities we have, make our colonies more unhealthy, and virtues in some buildings provide positive health to counteract that. You want to keep people healthy to avoid penalties to both research and culture. So that's why we wanted to kind of explore genetics
Your explorer
first.
has discovered something wonderful. There are many more sites like this to investigate around the world, so you might want to consider building additional explorers to send to these locations.
Explorers are pretty weak though, so if we stretch ourselves too far, we may end up losing them to hostile mobs as they find us, hostile aliens. So we discovered survivors in the derelict settlement. The refugees gratefully agree to settle in our city of Extra Life 1, raising its population by 1. Awesome. So that's why it was talking to us about health, is that we got yet another population. So cool. A unit needs orders. This worker needs to build something. It suggests that we construct a generator here. That'll give us +2 energy. A farm will add a food to it. So yeah, let's do energy first. So it's done with its expedition. So let's go check out this geothermal. So these kind of crag areas here are impassable terrain for ground units. So this is actually kind of like this. There's kind of a choke point here. This might be a good place, like right in this area next to this titanium, and you can see this miasma here, which is going to create problems for us. But like if we were to make a settlement here, like ground units would have to come around this way, which is already defended by a city on that side, or come around this way so we can kind of focus on this area of development. So this may be a good potential spot for another settlement. But we will find out for sure by heading this way. So now it's going to tell us about the miasma.
Walked into a cloud of strange alien miasma.
Miasma.
This miasma is toxic and will damage our units and equipment if they remain here. Until we understand this substance better, we should avoid it if possible.
Yep, so avoid miasma because it will damage us. And so, like, you don't want to end your turn in miasma if you can avoid it. Hey, more floatstone. And some algae. So we weren't too far from the coast. We have a new quest. So it has... so there's a limited supply of the... Ooh, what's this? Fruit and fungus. So it can't do any more expeditions until it comes back to base. So, oh, and we had another quest that we needed to look at. So, quests and victories. Cultural burden. Our scientists have detected a weak radio signal nearby. Its signature is definitely human. We should investigate the signal's source. There's no telling what we may find. Oh, a crashed satellite. Yes, we do need to go check that out. So we have finished building our soldier, and it can... I think it can do stuff with crashed satellites. It might not be able to. But we have our soldier, so we have our little bit of defense. So let's focus on health. So let's make ourselves a clinic. And then these guys need to head over. So we'll head over that way. And then we have the soldier guy who is going to go over and secure the crash site.
You have discovered a station. You
So
can
it-
establish trade routes with stations to receive various supplies that your people may need.
Venez, mettez-vous à l'aise. Franco-Iberia vous accueille chaleureusement.
So Franco Iberia has joined the game. And we've discovered a station. So stations are kind of like, what are they called? The city-states in Civilization. And so Farbase 1 provides 2 energy and 2 science to any city that establishes a trade route with it. Only one city per colony may trade with each station at the same time. So yeah, far base 1, which is pretty far away. So we need to get these guys to a safe spot. Alright. So we have our first alien unit that happens to be sitting next to alien raptors. Sitting next to the crash site. So let's get into the forest, because the forest will give us some protection if they decide to attack. Okay, so they've wandered off. So they need to continue on this way. Ooh, some more Phyrexite. And our worker's done. So our worker, it's recommending more generators. So, might as well continue going on the suggestion. So that's another 2 money, essentially. Energy money. So we're going to head up. Ooh.
Resource pods were sent ahead of our journey and contain valuable materials from old Earth. Send a unit onto the resource pod to see what it contains.
Yeah, so I know that my soldiers can go and take that resource pod. So that's where they will be heading. Oh, but those guys are back. So we've grown. We are now size 4. And we are going to end our turn in here.
Your explorer has noticed something strange nearby. It could be a ruin, some sort of wreckage, or perhaps alien in nature. You should order your explorer to the site and excavate it to see if there is something worthwhile to be found.
So it's talking about that because now it can actually do expeditions because it ran out of expedition materials. Yeah, they're pretty tough critters over there. So I'm going to get this resource pod.
You have finished construction
Nice.
on a unit which can launch into orbit.
Or found
Launch
it.
Select the unit and click its action button. Once launched, it will have an area effect on the tiles beneath it until it deorbits.
Deorbits or crashes. Thank you. So we found a basic satellite still intact and enough rocket fuel for it to reach escape velocity. A free solar collector is now ready to launch. So, solar collector. What does it do? So orbital unit, +1 energy on tiles you own. Any city in range also receives a +20% energy boost overall. So since we have this very limited area, it works out pretty well. So let's launch the orbital unit.
This is the orbital view. It displays the effect areas of units that are in orbit. Effect areas cannot overlap, so it is useful to plan launches ahead of time. This view also shows your launch coverage area. An orbital unit must be launched over a tile with coverage. Coverage can be extended by constructing city buildings.
You go to war with the soldiers you have. Make sure those are the soldiers you want.
The Virtue screen allows you to choose the virtues that will shape your civilization. You spin your accumulated culture to acquire them. The deeper...
El pueblo unido de Sudamérica le da la bienvenida.
Because you've earned an affinity point in either purity, supremacy, or harmony, you can now choose an upgrade for your soldier unit. Once you choose an upgrade, all of your soldiers will instantly adopt this upgrade and change appearance. You can upgrade additional unit types as you earn higher levels of affinity. You've earned your first affinity point in either purity, supremacy, or harmony. Affinity can be earned by researching certain texts, completing quests, or excavating various sites around the world. Affinity allows you to upgrade your units, and at higher levels, it will change your entire civilization.
I wonder what life was like on Earth when the whole atmosphere was breathable.
I have something that needs your attention.
How may the corporation serve you?
The universe is either in progress or in entropy. We choose progress.
Your explorer has noticed something strange nearby. It could be a ruin.
The temple doors of the Protectorate are open.
You can found an outpost with your colonist. Outposts eventually grow into cities. An outpost will prosper when founded in a location with plentiful food. So choose a location with food-producing resources or grassland if possible. Move your colonist to a fertile location and found an outpost. Our engineering groups have discovered a new efficient method to build and deploy satellites. Once constructed, you can launch a satellite to the orbital layer, which will allow you to project abilities or firepower down to the world below. Choose its final orbital location carefully, as it cannot be moved once deployed.
Le commerce fonctionne quand on comprend l'autre. Le commerce fonctionne quand on comprend l'autre. Si
Consider a simple problem, such as navigation in a spaceship approaching light speed.